Welcome to the Music Habits Podcast, episode 66.
Welcome to the Ableton and Music Habits Podcast. Actionable music production tips to take your music to the next level. And now, your host, Jason Timothy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to get into how the way you perceive sounds can affect your mixes in negative ways and how you can correct that. So when it comes to audio production and mixing, the human brain plays a pretty fascinating role on how we perceive sound. However, it can also fool you and lead you to poor mixes if you're not careful. In this podcast, we're going to delve into the science behind our auditory perceptions and explore some essential tips in using audio plugins effectively in your mixes. Because understanding how our brains process sound can make a significant difference in achieving the desired richness and depth in our audio creations. Obviously, you can still make great music without diving deeply into these concepts, but understanding them can help you avoid common mixing mistakes in your mixes if your mixes aren't quite up to par. So one common misconception in audio mixing is a belief that making something sound louder equates to making it sound better. At least that's the signal that your brain likes to give you. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Some plugins that claim to add richness and depth to sound may simply be making the sound louder. So it's crucial to balance levels to truly assess what a plugin is doing to your audio. Many effects and plugins might make something louder, but not necessarily better. So you need to check your levels often to ensure you're not making it sound worse instead of better. See, our brains are remarkably adaptive when it comes to processing sound. And as we increase the volume of what we're listening to, our ear's EQ curve actually changes. So this means that low and high frequencies are boosted more than mid frequencies when we hear things at a louder volume. So this phenomenon should be kept in mind while mixing to avoid overcompensating for perceived deficiencies in your audio. So to ensure accurate and consistent mixing, it's essential to have a set mixing volume where you spend most of your time. This helps you make reliable judgments about the elements in your mix and how they interact with each other. Consistency in volume provides a stable reference point for making informed decisions about EQ, dynamics, and effects. You don't want to set the volume to something that's fatiguing to your ears, and you should also take breaks to reset your ears. Not doing this can lead to poor mixing decisions due to overcompensation in volume and EQ. So accurate monitoring is key to achieving the best possible mix. One way to maintain consistency in your monitoring setup is to check your sound levels at around 83 dB, which is SPL or sound pressure level. And this level reportedly gives the best results. So you can use a smartphone app that can provide a rough estimate of the SPL, but it's important to note that they might not be highly accurate. However, they can still offer consistent results in their inaccuracy, allowing you to make reliable judgments about your mix's dynamics. So it's still worth using. Now, just to be fully transparent, I often mix at a quieter level than that, and then I will check the mix at the higher level so that I don't fatigue my ears. And that's due to the fact that I have tinnitus, so my ears are a little bit more sensitive. Also, if you're in an environment where you can't really turn things up that loud, then mix at a lower volume but consistent level, and then turn up the mix if you can, just to check the mix. Also, to prevent your audio from going over your chosen peak level, you want to consider using a limiter or a clipper. Limiters are valuable tools for controlling the dynamics of your mix and ensuring that it stays within the desired level boundaries. This helps maintain clarity and prevents distortion, especially during the mastering stage. Sometimes using a hard clip can handle transient spikes better than a limiter and allow for more headroom in your mix. Just remember that a little goes a long way with both tools. And you don't want to slam your sounds into a limiter or a clipper. That's just going to make things sound worse. So make sure to control the level before the sound reaches them. And then you can control the volume after that with the headroom that you gained from the process. If you're tempted to boost EQs or volume levels, consider using a new plugin for each process. This might seem kind of counterintuitive to have 3 or more EQs or level correction plugins, But this approach allows you to maintain a clean, organized mixing workflow. And if you revisit your mix the next day and it doesn't sound right, you can easily revert to your previous settings just by removing the most recently added plugins. Eventually, you won't need this technique as your mix intuition improves, but anytime there's an issue, this is a good way to correct it. And it's something that I still do to this day. So I hope these concepts help you make better mixing decisions in your future. With that said, guys, if you're benefiting from these podcasts, you'll absolutely love my 2 best-selling books, The Mental Game of Electronic Music Production and The Process for Electronic Music Producers. You can also check out my Ableton courses and instruments at musicsoftwaretraining.com/products. And if you're looking for personal guidance with your music production or Ableton, you could set up a free chat with me to go over exactly what your best next steps are to create the best music of your life. If this interests you, just go to musicsoftwaretraining.com/private-coaching. And with that, have a fantastic day and happy music making.